The florist walked past me like I was part of the furniture. I stood in the corner of the bridal suite, holding the veil I had paid for, watching as my sister laughed with her bridesmaids, sipping champagne like she'd earned all of this with something other than entitlement. "Can someone give me that diamond-studded clutch Mom bought?" Lily called out. "I want it in the photos." Mom smiled, handed it over, then turned toward me and paused. Then, she leaned in close to one of the bridesmaids and whispered just loud enough for me to hear, "It's her day. Don't ruin it with your face." Laughter. From the bridesmaid. From Lily. And from my mother. I looked at my dad, standing nearby, adjusting his tie. He glanced at me, then quickly looked away. No defense. No apology. Just silence. It stung more than I expected. I had funded this entire wedding, paid for the venue, the dress, the flowers, even the custom calligraphy signs scattered around the reception hall with quotes Lily stole from Pinterest. And now, apparently, my face was the only unwelcome thing in the room. I placed the veil gently on the table and stepped out of the room. No one stopped me. I walked past rows of imported roses, past the reception setup, past the outdoor seating arranged for 200 guests, each chair a line item on my credit card bill. As I stood outside under the warm sun, the air hit me with a kind of clarity I hadn't felt in years. I thought about every time they used me, every time I was the helpful one, the dependable one, the one who understood the bigger picture. I thought about the late nights working overtime to cover expenses that weren't mine. I thought about the tears I swallowed because family comes first. And then I pulled out my phone. I opened the email app, searched vendor contracts. One by one, I started typing. Subject: cancellation urgent. I'm writing to cancel the services scheduled for tomorrow due to a sudden family emergency. I sent the first, then the second, then the third.
Cake. Gone.
Caterers.
Gone.
DJ.
Gone. Seating. Gone.
Photographer. Cancelled. All gone. By the time I finished, the sun had dipped slightly, casting long shadows across the perfectly arranged rows of nothing. They wouldn't know until tomorrow, when the guests showed up to locked gates, when the groom stood in confusion, when Lily screamed into a void that no longer owed her a thing. They thought I'd just swallow the humiliation. Instead, I made a few phone calls. My name is Anna Blake, and from wherever you're watching this video, stay with me. Because when you treat the person funding your dreams like a burden, don't be surprised when the lights go out. It didn't start with the wedding. It started years ago, when I was 12 and Lily was 10, back when Mom handed her a $10 bill for a school field trip and turned to me and said, "You're older. You'll understand if we can't do both." I never asked again. That was the dynamic. Lily sparkled. I stabilized. When she broke things, I cleaned them. When she cried, I was expected to hush and make space. When she failed a test, it was stress from trying too hard. When I aced mine, it was met with a distracted good. Now go help your sister. She had dance recitals with sequined costumes and flowers. I had science fairs with stapled poster boards and no one in the audience. They adored her. She was their pride, the beautiful one, the charmer. I was the one who made life easier. I got my first job at 16 and paid for my own prom dress. Lily got her prom fully sponsored. Hair, nails, dress, limo. When I got accepted into college, I was told I'd need student loans. When Lily failed out of her first semester, Dad co-signed her a second chance at a private school. By 25, I was managing 2 jobs and renting a 1-bedroom apartment. Lily was still at home, figuring things out, spending weekends getting drunk and scrolling bridal Pinterest boards. So when she got engaged, I should have known. They invited me over for dinner. Not to celebrate, but to present the pitch. "Just a little help," Mom said sweetly. "We don't want her to feel stressed about money during her big moment." Lily didn't even look at me when she added, "You're good at money stuff anyway." I should have said no. I should have reminded them that I was still paying off student debt. But then Dad said the line that always got me. "Come on, Anna. You've always been the one we can count on." And just like that, I became the bank. I wrote the checks. I filled the spreadsheets. I called vendors, paid deposits, rented decor Lily never said thank you for. But something in me kept whispering, maybe this time, they'll see what you're worth. Maybe this is the moment you finally earn a seat at the table. They never even saved me a seat at the rehearsal dinner. So when they insulted me in the bridal suite, when my own mother said, "Don't ruin it with your face," I realized something. It wasn't just disrespect. It was recognition. They saw me for what I was to them. Not a daughter, not a sister, just a wallet with legs. And I was done being their silent investor. The days leading up to the wedding felt like a slow public execution. Except I wasn't the bride. I was the invisible benefactor. Every group text, every email, every decision about the wedding excluded me, except when it came to paying. The dress? Anna, can you transfer $2,400 to the boutique today? The custom floral arch? Lily says this one's perfect. Can you book it by Friday? The menu tasting? I wasn't even invited. And every time I offered an opinion on table settings, guest list, even the song she'd walk down the aisle to, I was shut down. That's not really your role, Mom said once. What do you know about weddings? Lily snapped another time. Dad? Silent like always. The rehearsal dinner was the final insult in a long string of cuts. I arrived 15 minutes early, dressed nicely but modestly, with a small gift for Lily and her fiancé. I wasn't looking to be praised, just included. The hostess checked her list. Anna Blake? Oh, you're not on the seating chart. Not on the list. They had forgotten or chosen not to save me a seat. I stood at the edge of the restaurant while waiters buzzed around me. Guests hugged and took selfies, and my sister laughed at a table full of glittering glasses and smiling faces. Mom finally noticed me, frowned, and said, "Well, you can sit at the back. We weren't sure if you were actually coming." Coming? I paid for the whole damn dinner. I sat next to the DJ's speaker, chewing dry bread and watching them celebrate like royalty. After dessert, I stood up, took a deep breath, and raised a glass. Could I say something? Lily's face fell. Mom looked like she'd bitten into a lemon. Still, I smiled. I just wanted to say. Lily cut in, laughing. Oh no. Is this the part where she makes it about herself? The table roared with laughter. Even Dad chuckled. And that's when something in me, something small and quiet, snapped like a thread pulled too tight for too long. I lowered the glass and nodded. You're right. Then I walked out. No one followed. No one called. The next day, I sent one final transfer to the venue to cover the balance. Then I logged into the vendor portal, logged out every planner, every parent, every name that had dismissed me. This parade of humiliation they'd paraded me through? It was almost over. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fight. But I was going to end it. They thought I was sulking. After I walked out of the rehearsal dinner, no one reached out. No apology. No text. Not even a guilt-laced voicemail. I imagine they thought I'd come back quietly, like always. That I'd show up to the ceremony in something understated, hand over another check, and smile in the background of 100 photos I didn't belong in. They forgot what happens when the one holding the strings decides to let go. The next morning, I woke up early.
Calm. Precise.
I opened my laptop and pulled up the folder labeled Lily's Wedding, Master Contracts. Everything was there. Every deposit I'd made. Every service I'd secured. Every vendor I'd negotiated with while they drank mimosas and called me reliable. I started with the caterer. Subject line: urgent, family emergency cancellation. Refund requested. Service canceled. Then the florist. The DJ. The rental company for the chairs and tables. The decor team. The photographer. The lighting crew. Each cancellation carefully worded, every refund redirected to my personal account. Most offered partial returns. A few were non-refundable. I didn't care. I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it for the girl who sat at every birthday party alone while her sister blew out the candles. For the woman who paid for everything but wasn't allowed a seat at the table. For the silence my dad offered as loyalty. For the cruelty my mom wrapped in smiles. Each email, I felt like lifting a weight off my chest. And the best part? None of them knew. They were too busy rehearsing poses and picking champagne flutes. Mom posted a selfie with Lily that afternoon. My beautiful baby girl. Tomorrow is your day, ring crown. She was right. It would be Lily's day. Just not the one she was expecting. By late afternoon, I had contacted the venue. It was under my name. Fully paid. I told them the event was no longer authorized to proceed. Do you want to notify the client? The manager asked. I smiled.
No.
Let them find out like I found out everything else. Too late to change it. Then I logged out of every account. Deleted the shared wedding calendar. Removed myself from the group chat titled Queen Lily's Big Day 2 Hearts. They wanted me silent. Invisible. They didn't know that silence could move like a blade. They didn't know that invisibility is what makes the best revenge undetectable until it's too late. The morning of the wedding arrived with the kind of sunshine people write poems about. I imagine Lily woke up feeling like royalty, hair wrapped, makeup booked, dress steamed and waiting. Maybe she even made a post. Can't believe I'm marrying my soulmate today, smiling face with heart eyes ring #bride vibes only. Meanwhile, I sipped coffee on my balcony 2 towns over.
Calm.
Not bitter. Not angry. Just done. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 p.m. sharp at a rustic vineyard venue, one with vintage doors, an ivy-covered gazebo, and delicate gold chairs arranged like something out of a bridal magazine. Except when the guests arrived, the gates were locked. No flowers. No music. No champagne. No sign of life. Just silence. Cars lined up. Confusion spread like a fog. People checked invitation times, peeked through the iron fence, and tried calling anyone who would answer. Lily's best friend posted a story on Instagram. Is this a prank or? At 3:40 p.m., the photographer texted Lily saying, Hey, I got a cancellation notice yesterday. Was that legit? Lily laughed it off until she couldn't. By 4:15, panic set in. Lily showed up in full gown, clutching her bouquet like a weapon. She screamed at the gates. Mom tried calling the venue. The voicemail said the reservation had been canceled due to unforeseen family emergency. Dad just stood there, blinking, finally realizing that silence doesn't fix everything. Then someone said, Wait, wasn't Anna the one who booked everything? A few guests turned to look at Mom, then at Lily, then at the empty parking lot where the catering van should have been. Phones started ringing. Whispered conversations broke out. Was this intentional? Who was handling the logistics? I thought she paid for all of it. Lily called me 6 times. I let it ring. Then came the text. What did you do? You ruined my wedding. You psycho. I muted her. They weren't locked out of a wedding. They were locked out of the fantasy they'd built on my back. And now they were face to face with reality. One I had quietly dismantled with nothing more than truth and timing. At 6:23 p.m., my phone lit up again. A new message from Mom. We gave you everything. You owe us. You went too far. I read it. Then I deleted it. Because here's what they never understood. You don't get to spit on the hand that builds your kingdom and still expect the crown. They never noticed the person holding the strings. Until she let go. They scrambled. But it was already too late. You can't throw a royal wedding without food, music, or chairs. Some guests waited, expecting a miracle. Others left after an hour, confused and gossiping. A few whispered, I heard her sister was paying for everything. And wasn't there drama at the rehearsal dinner? By 7 p.m., the story had spread. Not just among guests, but through our extended family. Cousins were texting each other screenshots. A neighbor posted a photo of the locked venue gates with a caption. When your wedding is built on someone else's silence, expect it to collapse loudly. I didn't say a word. Didn't post. Didn't defend. Lily, on the other hand, was unraveling. She posted a long Instagram story, tear-streaked, screaming about betrayal, how her jealous sister sabotaged the happiest day of her life. Her fiancé stood behind her, quiet and visibly shaken. Because now he knew, none of what they had was real. Not the venue. not the cake, not the illusion of control. It had all been bought with someone else's name. Mine. Then came Lily's text to me that night. You embarrassed this family. I hope you're proud of yourself. I didn't respond, because I was proud, not of the chaos, but of the clarity. The next day, my phone buzzed again, this time from my Aunt Carla. She never picked sides. Until now. Her message read, I heard what happened. For the record, I always knew they used you. Good for you, for walking away. More came in. Quiet affirmations from cousins, old friends, even Lily's ex-roommate who wrote, took guts. Wish I had done the same with my family. Meanwhile, my parents went on defense mode. Mom called every family member she could, twisting the story. She just snapped. She's mentally unstable. We've always supported her. But it didn't stick. Because the truth had receipts, literally. Every vendor had confirmation of who paid. Every cancellation came with my signature. Every contract had my name. And suddenly, the silence I'd always been drowned out by became their curse. Dad stayed quiet, like he always did. Except this time, his silence didn't protect anyone. It exposed them. The image of our perfect family cracked, fast and loud. Lily tried to reschedule the wedding 2 months later. It was scaled down. A backyard ceremony with folding chairs and store-bought cupcakes. I wasn't invited. I didn't want to be. Because their collapse didn't need an audience. It was enough to know they felt it. Every eye on them. Every whisper. Every question they didn't want to answer. And I never had to raise my voice. Peace is loud in its own way. After the dust settled, after the social media rants dried up and the group chats went quiet, I did something no one expected. I lived. Not out of spite, not to prove anything, just because it was finally time. I moved out of the apartment I had been clinging to like an obligation. Found a sunlit place near the water. Quiet, simple, and entirely mine. Claire, my cat, took exactly 1 day to claim the windowsill as her throne. I started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to stop mistaking survival for strength. The first few sessions hurt like hell. Unpacking years of being the reliable one, the good daughter, the bank with a beating heart. But over time, I found myself sitting taller, breathing easier, laughing. I had never realized how much space guilt took up in my body until I let it go. And for the first time in years, I had money. Not because I earned more, but because I wasn't bleeding it into people who mistook my kindness for a resource. I traveled. I took a cooking class in Barcelona, learned how to make pasta from scratch in a village outside Florence. I danced with strangers, sat in cafes alone without feeling lonely. One night, in Lisbon, I met a man. No grand sparks, no declarations, just calm energy and eyes that saw me, not what I could give. He asked what I did for a living. I told him, I teach women how to protect their wallets from people who say it's just family. Because I had turned my story into something bigger. I started a platform. Burn the blank check. Workshops, writing, coaching. Helping women like me say no, set boundaries, and take themselves off the payroll of obligation. It spread faster than I expected. Apparently, I wasn't alone. One day, a woman came up to me after a seminar. Maybe late 40s. She hugged me with shaking arms and said, I left my sister's life last month. She still doesn't know why. But I do. You gave me the words. I didn't cry. I just held her. Because this was what I had been missing all those years. Not approval, not thanks, but purpose. A friend once asked if I'd ever speak to my family again. I said, I'm not mad. I'm just not available. Because I wasn't carrying their weight anymore. I was building something of my own. A life not built on guilt, but on choice. I never dreamed of a big wedding. Not because I didn't believe in love, but because I'd seen what happened when a celebration became a spectacle. When love was measured in flower walls and open bars. When the people clapping for you were the same ones who didn't care if you cried behind closed doors. So when it happened, when someone asked me and I said yes, I didn't plan a wedding. I planned a promise. It was just 12 of us. A quiet ceremony in a coastal town, on a cliff that overlooked the sea. No DJ. No seating chart. No fake smiles. Just wind, sun, soft music, and people who showed up because they loved me, not because I paid for their plate. I wore a simple dress. Bare feet. No veil. Claire was my maid of honor. Older now, but still sharp as ever. She wore gold sandals and carried wildflowers she picked herself. We didn't send out announcements. No hashtags. No live streams. We didn't need to prove anything. After the ceremony, I wrote one postcard. No return address. No note inside. Just a photograph of me and Claire, barefoot and smiling, arms around each other, the ocean behind us and light in our eyes. I mailed it to my parents' house, addressed to both of them. On the back, it said, "This time, no one had to pay for love." I don't know what they did with it. Maybe they tore it up. Maybe they threw it in a drawer. Maybe they stared at it for a long time, wondering when they lost control. But I do know this. They missed the only wedding that mattered. Not because I didn't invite them, but because they taught me what love shouldn't feel like. As I stood with my new husband watching the waves crash below, I didn't think about revenge. I thought about freedom, and how long it took to feel like I was allowed to have it, because they planned a perfect day once, and forgot who paid for it. I simply reminded them, with silence, with strength, with the life they never expected me to build. And as Claire ran down the beach, laughing, kicking up water with wild joy, I smiled and whispered to myself, "They came for control. I left with peace." Because, in the end, some people want the spotlight, others build the stage. And me? I burned the script and wrote a better ending.